everyone, I'm Cheryl and welcome to the Sewing Room channel. I'm going to show you a really fun sewing and cutting technique to make it look like you were just so busy sewing millions of pieces of fabric pieces together. So let's take a look at a basic 9-patch quilt block. So I have actually 9 different colors in here, and I coordinated all my colors. Now you can also use scrap fabrics for this, but it doesn't have quite the same look unless all your colors are coordinated together. So I stitched them together, and I'll show you how I did that in a minute. And then I cut it down the center and then the center. And so now I have all these little separate pieces there. Then I took 2 of them and swapped them around, okay? And now you have a completely different look. So you can take it from that 9-patch and make it into a quilt that looks like this. Isn't this beautiful? This is so pretty. Now in this particular quilt, I've chose really soft colors. I have made another one where I use a lot of dark colors and scrap fabrics, and it has a completely different look than this. Now you can twist and turn these blocks in any direction that you like. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Lay out all of your pieces, and for me, I'm laying all of the pieces out in the same order for all of the blocks. And I took this darker blue here and put it in the middle, and you will see later why I chose this particular blue. So whatever color you have is the most dominant or color that stands out the most, put it in the middle. Now, when you're sewing them together, you're bringing the pieces together and sewing a 1/4 inch seam, and I'm turning them over for a particular reason. When you're looking at the seams, I've pressed them in a specific direction. For instance, the first row and the last row, the seams are pressed going this way to my right. In the middle row, they're pressed to my left. So I'm going to turn them back over. And you need to do that so when you stitch your rows together, your seams will match and it won't be all lumpy and bumpy. So that's why you want to do it that way. So now you're going to stitch the rows together. So you want to bring 2 of the rows on top and match your seams. So you want to make sure that the seam on the bottom is going in the opposite direction than the seam on top. Then I highly recommend you pin your seam areas together. This is real important. After you've pinned them, then stitch a 1/4 inch seam. Then you're going to take your last row and repeat the step, bring them on top. Let me get this together. Line up your seams, pin your seams, and stitch a 1/4 inch seam. Then press all of the 2 long seams that you have. Now you're actually going to cut through this finished block. And because it is 5 inches across here, I'm going to place my 2.5 inch line on my ruler right on this seam. So I'm going to place it on there and carefully line it up so that it's straight all the way down, and then cut right through it. Now, don't move your fabric. Just turn your ruler, put the 2.5 inch line on this block here, or on this seam here. Let me get it straight. And then you're going to go ahead and cut it like this. And so now you have 4 different blocks. So go ahead and stitch up all your fabric together and then cut them into sections like this. After you've got them cut, Then you're going to swap a couple of your blocks, and then you're going to put everything into piles. So first, we're going to swap these two blocks. I'm going to take it, bring it over here, and take this one and bring it over there. So now it looks like this. So then you're going to take all your blocks that are the same and put them into piles. After you've got all your blocks cut, then lay them out in rows and just twist and turn the blocks any direction that you want. Sometimes you'll see these two little squares come together. Then take each row separately, stitch them together, a 1/4 inch seam, and then after you've got the seams in each row stitched, then go ahead and press those seams. Now take your first two rows and you're going to stitch the rows together. So lay them down and you're going to match those seams up. So for instance, right here, you're going to take and make sure that the seam on the bottom is in the opposite direction than the seam on top. You want those seams real close to each other, and then take a straight pin and pin those seams. So pin your seams first, then add some more pins in between those seams. Then stitch a 1/4 inch seam all the way across and continue stitching all your rows together. I think this turned out really pretty. As you're looking at it, you would never believe that it started out as a simple 9-patch quilt block. So you can use any colors you want, you can use scraps. It doesn't have to be all matchy-matchy. You can do whatever you want with this quilt. If you're a beginner and you're not quite sure how to finish a quilt off, I'm going to show you a really easy way to finish the quilt off. If you're an experienced quilter, go ahead and add your traditional quilt binding on it. But on this one, I'm going to use the quilt as you go method. So pretend this is my disappearing 9-patch quilt top. I've put in polyester batting in here, and you can also use cotton batting. You can use whatever batting you like. I've got my top here, one particular size. You want to measure the size of your quilt top, then make your fabric on the back larger by anywhere from 2 to 3 inches larger than the size of the fabric up here on top. Then I've got safety pins here. Use safety pins to pin all of the layers together. Once you've got everything pinned together, then go to your sewing machine and make sure you're using a walking presser foot. If you don't have one for your machine, they're easy to get. You can either go to a sewing machine dealer store and have them order it for you, or you can go on the internet to Sewing Machine Parts Online and enter in there that you want a walking presser foot for the name, model, number of your particular sewing machine. They're very affordable. So then you would use this on your machine to do your quilting stitches. I have just a simple quilt stitch pattern here. You can use a straight stitch or a serpentine stitch. Most of your computerized sewing machines have a serpentine stitch. Make sure you do a sample stitch on some scrap fabric to see if you need to lengthen your stitch and widen your stitch, and then do whatever pattern that you would like. The quilt as you go method is really easy for binding your edges. You don't have to deal with traditional binding. So now you're going to go to your ironing board and you're going to take the two opposite edges of your quilt top and you're going to use your iron and fold over and press the edge all the way across. Then fold over again and press. And then use some pins to hold it down and then stitch right across here. You're doing it on opposite edges. Then go to your last two opposite edges and do the same step. And then your quilt is all done. Well, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and that you learned a new technique. Now, these blocks, you can make it into anything. You can go ahead and put it into a table runner, a pillow, make a pillow shams. This would look really, really pretty. You can make it to match your bedspread. But also, if you have little leftover blocks, they make great pot holders also, because I had a few spares, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. If you're interested in other beginners quilting projects, look below your YouTube screen for the video link. And all you need to do is scroll down below your YouTube screen to the description section. Expand it open by clicking on the down arrow. You'll see all kinds of links listed there. Also, don't forget to follow me on Instagram and check out my Facebook page. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time, and happy sewing. If you like the Sewing Room channel, one of the best ways to show your support is to subscribe by clicking on that red subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to click on share to share this video with your friends. And make sure you click on the bell so you receive notifications for all my new videos. I'm Cheryl, this is Manny, and this is Scotty. See you next time.